Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode of the Everything Communication podcast. I'm your host, Nathan John, and today we're going to be speaking about mindset. What does mindset mean? Something I say to my clients all the time is your mindset is quite simply how you set your mind. And that sounds quite arbitrary, but if we zoom in and take a look at what that actually means, quite simply, you decide the way that your mind is set. If you take a number diagram, very simple from primary school. I'll just draw one really quickly. So the basics of a number diagram is you have two numbers that go in on this side, and then you have something that happens in the middle, and then you have something that comes out on the other side. Our brains work in exactly the same way as this, right? There's a bunch of inputs that go in. Our brains take the inputs and compute them, and then it gives us an output, which is usually an action or the way that we speak, the way that we react to something. If I was to put 2 and 5 on this side, I'd get 10. If I change the numbers to 3 and 6, then I'd get 18. And our brains work in exactly the same way. The things that you feed your brain determine what comes out on the other end. But why is this important? Why does that matter? Because once you realize that you have control over the way that you speak, the way that your brain operates, it changes everything. Because now, every day, you're making a choice to feed your brain the correct things. You're making a choice to read up on something that's actually going to be meaningful rather than scrolling on social media. And I remember being on a Teams call once, right? And I said something, I just shared an idea that I had in a meeting. And the people on the call, they all looked at me like I just shot someone. Everyone was like, "Oh no, this is not going to work. There's too many dependencies and blockers and all of that kind of stuff and all the corporate jargon." I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever." 2 minutes later, guys, I kid you not, 2 minutes later, the person sitting next to me said the exact same thing, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing! This is such a great idea." The only difference between how I said it and how they said it was they were just a bit more articulate than me. They phrased it in a different way. And so even though we had the same idea, the way it was received was different because of the way that that person spoke. And I'm sure many people listening right now have the same retort. Would have been in the same scenario, the same situation where you said something and someone else has said your idea in a better way. And so everyone is listening to what that person said rather than you. It's not enough in this day and age now, especially with ChatGPT and the way that AI is evolving, to just be good at something, to have a good idea, to build something that's really cool, that looks good. There's loads of amazing apps and amazing AI enabled platforms and things that exist. But if you're not able to communicate the things that you've built, if you're not able to show someone why this is important for them, it won't matter because no one will ever see it. No one will ever hear the ideas in your head if you're not able to articulate them well. And so this is why it's so important to take control of the vessel that is your mind. Take control of the computing device that's in your head. Because the same way that you can choose to put different numbers in this number machine, it's the same way that you can choose to add different inputs to your brain. What does it mean though to actually set your mind in the right way? And so what do some of the inputs look like? Right? As I've kind of alluded to or gone over earlier on, things like the way that we speak to ourselves, the way that we speak to other people, the things that we watch on TV or content that we're taking in, all of these different things are inputs. They're all different pieces of information that we are consuming. And when we plug them into our brain doesn't know the difference between good information and bad information. It doesn't know the difference between something that it should retain and something that it shouldn't retain. So anything that you give it, it's just going to feed. And so if you think of a tree, right? If you think about setting your mind, that word set, it means to have something in a certain place, almost like planted, right? This is how you're setting your mind up. You're setting yourself. For a tree, once it grows, even if the wind was to come and blow on it or was to rain or whatever, the tree may slightly change direction. It may like bend with the wind or whatever. Maybe it might lose a few leaves, but the tree will go back to its original position. And so it's the same way, the way that you have your mindset right now, you watching one YouTube video that's motivational, or you going to attend one class that's going to teach you about the laws of physics instead of watching TikTok. Like that's a great start. That's a great little gust of wind, but it's not going to change the tree that is your mind. It's not going to change where you're rooted, where your roots are. Right? The only way that can happen is for you to uproot the current tree that you have and place it somewhere else. Because the nutrients that it's taken from the soil, the water that it's getting from its surroundings, the sunlight, like all of the things that are allowing that tree to grow aren't good for it where it is. And so it's actually growing in the wrong way. And this is why it's so hard for you to actually change how you think, for you to actually change how your mind is set, right? And a lot of people make the mistake of, once they realize that they are in control, once they realize that they actually have the power to start changing what goes into their mind machine or their brain or whatever you want to call it, right? They try to stop their bad habits. They try to just say, oh, okay, I'm not going to watch TikTok anymore. I'm just going to delete it off my phone. And then they find themselves watching Instagram Reels. So then they delete Instagram Reels. And then all of a sudden you're on YouTube watching YouTube Shorts. And the only reason I know this is because that person was me. I'm not going to lie. And that just doesn't work. That thinking process that you can just eradicate the things that you've been building up for years. Like if you go back to the tree, a tree takes years and 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 even more years to grow. To grow fully, a tree takes a very long time, right? So it's not going to be an easy process to just uproot that tree and then plant it somewhere new. It's the same with your mind. You've been training it, you've been conditioning it to think in one way for so long. And you think that one video is going to change the way that it's set up. You think that one decision to delete an app or stop doing one bad habit, that's going to change everything. I'm supposed to tell you it's not. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's not actually going to do much greater good than you think. The real way that you can create lasting change, however, is to, instead of taking the tree and just uprooting it completely, it's replacing the habits, replacing the systems that you currently have in place. So instead of watching TikTok for 2 hours every night, start reading a book. Instead of you talking negatively about yourself, write down all the negative things you have to say about who you are, the thoughts that keep coming up telling you you're not good enough, the things in your mind that are holding you back from your full potential. Take a second to actually write them down. And once you have that list, rewrite them. Rewrite them with a positive spin. Rewrite them with the view that you are good enough, that you have more than what it takes to achieve what you want to get to the place that you actually want to be at. That the only thing you need to do is take the leap. Stop holding back because of fear, because of the emotions that you have that are telling you can't do it. People that might be around you putting you down, increasing your doubt. Once you make the decision to start believing those things, believing the truth about who you are instead of the lies that are in your head, you can switch around the order that you think, or the way that you think, rather. So all of those lies that you have right now written on paper, switch them out for the truth about who you are, not the things that are wrapped up in emotions. And then once you've done that, you will see the impacts, the change in who you are. It won't be overnight. It won't be a click of a button or snap of a finger, but over time, you'll start to see that actually you're more confident. You'll start to see that actually the way that you speak has completely shifted just by you doing the work of planting your tree somewhere else. And the deeper you are into that journey of negativity, is the harder it's going to be. That's just the reality, because it means that your roots are deeper. It means that you've been growing for longer in the same way. But it doesn't mean that you're a lost cause. It doesn't mean that just because you've had this pattern of choosing the wrong things, of choosing to do things that you know are going to be harmful or not good for you, that there is no hope. It just means the process might take a bit longer than you initially imagined, than you anticipated. But it's still going to work. And understand that there are other people who will help you in the process as well. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to go through that whole process of uprooting your tree and planting it somewhere else alone. Because one of the biggest parts of you recreating your mindset, or you reshaping how you think, is who you actually have around you. They actually play a massive part of your environment. The friends that you choose to keep around, the people that you spend the most time with on a day-to-day, have a huge impact on how you see yourself. And so when you start to spend more time with people who actually lift you up, empower you, who are good for you, you will see that change before you even realize it. So that's my task. That's my challenge for you going away from this, to create that list of what are the things that are currently holding you back? How are you currently setting your mind in a negative way? And what things are you not going to stop doing? What things are you going to replace with new, healthier, positive things, which are going to direct you in a path that allows you to become more of who you actually are, and a better speaker, and by proxy, more successful. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Everything Communication Podcast. We'll be back next week with episode 4. Peace.